live.
Recording?
I don't know if we're live.
Hello, everybody. Still in the same outfits. Welcome back again. This is the third installment of
2 weeks, 3
the
weeks.
Dad Chronicles, the David Chronicles, how he grew up.
And we talked about the reason for this, right? Because how come the things I am I'm not socially adjusted as well as you are. How's that?
Yeah.
I am critical,
I'd
right?
say compared to the average person.
I have this like narcissistic tendencies, right?
Narcissistic?
Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we all have some narcissistic.
From
I
my
don't.
outsider
Right?
perspective, it
Oh,
seems
you do.
like, I wouldn't say narcissistic, just inability to control
A
your
narcissist is
emotions.
always right, right? So anyway,
You think you are.
see? But
Got her.
so we were trying to remember from our last episode. I think we got to like 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, 'cause
And we wanted to get to where in that time. You said we moved to Montana when I was like 5, or not
You were
5,
in
fifth grade. So how old are
fifth
you
grade.
in 5th grade?
I thought,
So if your first grade is say 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9. So you're around 9 or 10 years old.
really?
Okay, so in
That seems too
between,
old.
I don't know,
It doesn't matter. Keep
8,
going.
9.
about 10.
So we're in Fremont. You've met Joyce and Joanne. They're good friends and
We
that.
stayed good
And then-
friends.
When did you get out of the relationship? The craziness between then? Because you said there was time there where you were on your own.
Yeah,
And we lived in some apartments that I remember.
in Fridley.
In Fridley, there was a pool. I know my cousin John and I would follow the ditch. There was a ditch that you could get into, like close to the apartments, and we would follow that through all the neighborhoods and people's backyards, all the way down to the river, the Mississippi.
Yeah,
And we weren't supposed to be in there. You'd get in trouble if you're in the ditch.
Really?
And
Oh.
we would follow that down to the Mississippi. And John and I were pretty good friends. And then John had a brother, Jim, and those two didn't get along very well. And I remember once John and Jim were arguing, and John and I were outside. He had a bow and arrow, and Jim come out and John shot him in the leg.
No way. With
the
a bow and arrow?
Yeah, with
A
the bow.
steel tip?
I
like-
think it was like those little target ones,
Oh,
But yeah, I went into
but
his
still,
leg.
that would hurt. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And so that's one thing I do remember, but those were fun things. And John and I think
John knew Prince. He played drums with him.
yeah, but they lived down in Minneapolis, right?
North Minneapolis.
And is that
a
towards?
block from Broadway.
So we would go and walk down the alleys and stuff, and we'd find like the fluorescent light bulb tubes, and we'd smash them together and they'd
Nice.
explode.
Nice.
And then, and then we would pretend, like, not pretend, but we would see Mom and Ruth, is her sister, my cousin, Mom, and they'd be visiting and doing whatever, and we would see how much stuff we could steal around them, from them,
Oh my
in
God.
the house, and see how much we could get up to his room without them noticing. So we'd steal an ashtray or stuff like that. and
Still to
see-
like keep or just like messing around
just
with
messing
your...
around with them.
Okay, good.
But then we would go around and collect like bottles, pop bottles, because the glass pop bottles you get like 10 cents, 5 cents or 5.10, and we'd take them down to the little store and we'd get candy and stuff. But so, how did my relationship with Dad, or how did my life progress from? So when did you leave him and end up in those apartments? What happened with Joyce and all them, and you leaving?
I don't remember.
No? Because I know you probably had some boyfriends, because I remember different guys that were in there was one guy,
Denny.
yeah, did he have a boat or a lake?
We went up to the lake all the time
Yeah,
fishing,
yeah,
but I don't think I had a lot of boyfriends. I had one.
maybe. But he seemed pretty cool.
Yeah.
So why didn't that work
He
out?
owned a tire store.
And why didn't that work out?
Because
Too normal?
he got possessive, and so that scared me, and so I called it off.
So you grew a backbone, and you're willing to get rid of that. When we lived in those apartments, there was a pool, right? And I remember once.
You broke your arm.
I did?
Yep.
Oh, I fell off a swing set.
Yep, from
Yeah.
the top of the swing. And
Did you jump on purpose?
No, I
sister
don't know.
and Kim and John, and they were all over. And I had to take you to the hospital. And then the next day, take you in to get the cast on because it was swollen.
Yeah. But I remember being there, and I would get in fights there. in
Yeah,
that
you were a
apartment
fighter.
complex.
I remember you telling me you got in a lot of fights.
Well,
As
and
a
I
kid.
had a friend. I liked his sister, and me and
Oh.
the friend got in a fight, and I was mad because she was rooting for him and not me.
Oh, I hurt your feelings?
Yeah, I was like, "Why are you rooting for him?"
Dad, you're not
Well,
supposed to date your friend's
It's because
family.
it's my, it's because it's her brother.
That's
why
guy
she
code. You're not supposed to date your friend's family.
Yeah, and don't do that anymore. And then I remember I was like, we had a balcony, I think, and I was out there, and there was like a bunch of kids, and I was getting the shit beat out of me. I was curled up in a ball on the ground. They're kicking me, everything, and you saved me.
I saved you all the time. You had a big mouth. And I remember
Maybe I got
a
that from my
bigger
dad.
kid was picking on you, and to me you're just little. And so I went to his dad, and I told him what he had done to you, and you're standing behind me going,
How old were you at this point?
I don't know.
He must have been
Like-
8 or 9.
8 or 9, getting into fights.
But where we're from, North Minneapolis, you fought all the time,
Yeah.
you know?
I grew up in a house that's what, to me, conflict is violence. That's what it is. So if ever there's violence or conflict or disagreement or whatever, you're ready to fight.
You think it has to be solved physically.
And that's why I think the adrenaline rush and the shakes even worse, because you're ready to go, you know. And, I mean, I got into fights all the way up till, I don't think I got into any fights in high school, just junior high.
No, you were telling me about you were defending the nerds and you were the...
Well, yeah, but
Hero.
it never turned into a fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, I wasn't a big guy or anything, but I think junior high was the last fight I got into.
I remember when you got kicked out of school for fighting.
No.
Yep. 3
Oh.
days suspended.
When was that?
You were about 7th or 8th grade.
Yeah, that's probably about right. That's junior high, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, back then it was. I think now high school's 9 through 12.
And through till what it used to be.
Yeah. Well, it'd be, you had 11, or you had 10, 11, 12, and then whatever the three before that.
I wonder why they
8,
changed
7
that.
through 8. But anyway, so
I had a boyfriend break up with me for getting in a bar fight.
Because you got in a bar fight?
Well, there was a bunch of gals, and they were talking bad about my sister, so I defended her.
Nice. Nice.
And he didn't like the way I acted, so he broke up with me. I thought, fine. This is me.
Yeah, it would be cool if I had a lady just beat the crap out of another lady. I'd be so proud. Give her a pat on the back. I'm so proud of you.
oh my God. Okay, so there was got to have been a lot of crap that happened in between from there. Okay, so you had brought up that you had been separated from dad for a long
Years
time,
and years and years.
and you're divorced officially.
Yes.
Okay, so
Oh, okay. I remember we weren't together, and he lived with a guy and his girlfriend, and like I said, your dad fought with everybody and beat him up, and so he didn't have any friends left. That's what it bounced to, and he tried to kill himself. He shot himself.
He was so drunk, or he just
Well, I imagine he was drunk. You'd have to be drunk to try to
Attempt
do
something
that.
like that, yeah.
And he shot himself in the gut, but he didn't die.
who took him to the hospital?
I don't know.
Yeah, because you weren't
wasn't
around
around.
at this time.
Had nothing to do with him. And then the hospital called me, and I didn't want to go. And they said, well, he's asking for you. So I thought, oh, shit. I have to go down there. So I did. They had nowhere to go. Nobody liked him. Nobody wanted him. I didn't want him. And so he moved in with us.
You let him?
Yeah, I let him.
You felt sorry for him?
I felt sorry for him.
Wow.
Then
Were
we
his-
ended up in Montana.
Where his parents
Oh.
didn't even want him? at
His
this
parents lived up north.
They had a nice place.
point? And this is the point where you guys moved up to Montana?
So we
Yeah.
moved to Montana.
Then we moved to
Was he
Montana.
doing drywall all that time?
Yeah.
He worked for Carol,
And his other uncle, John,
John.
for a while.
I mean, that was one thing he was good at, right?
Yeah, very good.
And he was strong. I remember when lived in Montana, he was out doing a job hanging rock, and he'd fallen off the scaffold and hit the crossbeams and broke his ribs, and he had to get dropped off because you dropped him off out there.
Oh,
And then he was walking on the road to walk back to the hospital, or to a hospital or wherever, because he was hurt
With broken ribs?
with broken
Man,
ribs. He was
that's
just walking down
tough.
the road.
thought he
Wow.
cut his head open.
I don't know. Okay, so Montana, the adventures of Montana. So we end up out there. The only things I can remember is there was a snowball fight, and we lived on Winchell then.
We
And-
weren't with your dad then.
Oh, okay. So we moved to Montana, and he started the drywall business.
Yeah, we weren't together long.
He had his own business?
Yeah, and he was really good at it.
Oh, wow.
But so what happened there? So I was in 5th grade.
He started his shit again, and so we left.
So he was sober for a while, because he was in AA and stuff for a while,
Yeah.
right? And he started drinking and whatnot again, and basically drank himself out of his business.
Yep.
So was that when we lived in Winchell? Because we lived on Yellowstone.
Wasn't it Wyoming?
No.
There was a street off of Lewis.
Oh, no.
Oh, we
I
moved.
thought you meant the state Wyoming. No. We lived in on Yellowstone. I thought we lived in more places there too. I remember he had a delivery van type thing with the side door that opened, and for a tool truck. And I remember, I think
The
Marty.
scrap truck?
It wasn't a scrap truck. It was like a delivery truck, like a FedEx truck or UPS truck.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
And
just
I
a van.
remember you'd open the doors, you could drive with the door open, like the FedEx, UPS guys
Oh, that would
would.
be fun as a kid.
Yeah, and I jumped out thinking I could jump out. And
Oh, no.
But as soon as my feet hit the ground, I went, bam!
Oh, no. On your face?
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
no.
that. My arm. But then, I was always getting hurt. But then he had a hearse for a work vehicle.
What? Like,
Where was that hearse? at?
Yellowstone. That was up there.
isn't that what you keep, like,
So
Coffins
some of the other
in?
things that happened is there was a snowball fight between some kids and whatnot on the street, and I think I'd hit a kid in the face with a snowball or something. They tried to chase me. I ran into the neighbor's house, and I couldn't leave. And you're calling, you got to come home. It's time to dinner or whatever. And I was like, I can't.
Dan,
There's a
Dan-
gang outside. They're gonna kick
they
my
were
ass.
waiting out there for you?
Yeah.
Oh, my
And,
gosh.
that always happened. I was always getting ganged up on. And then you're like, you come walking over. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to be in
Live
public
this
again.
down.
I cannot show my face in public again. And I was like, oh, you should have just let me starve. But she'd just come over. And then, gosh,
You
there's a
mentioned,
lot that happened up there.
you mentioned you were always getting ganged up on. How was your, like, life as far as friends and stuff went? Like, did you have a lot of genuine good friends, or were you kind of a loner, would you say?
I think I had friends. Like, I think the biggest thing in Montana was when I started hanging out or went to the church. I think the church was a spot where instead of me turning towards drugs or something or going violent or whatever,
Yeah, because
I think the church is what became my out, getting away. Because I remember,
You were
would wake-
president of the youth group.
whatever. But I would wake up and Dad would be peeing in the corner thinking he was in the bathroom. Or the violence and things. I remember looking out the window. Okay, so I was sick of this stuff, right? This stuff never ended. Always happened. And I was like, I'm done with this. I'm killing this guy, right? And I got my hunting rifle. And you were freaking out. She's like, you can't do this.
How old were you?
Well,
at this
he's
point?
12 maybe. I was going to kill my dad.
First of all, you had a hunting rifle at 12?
Yeah, Dad. Oh, I'll tell you more stories. So I'm like, I want to be able to sleep in my house. I want to be able to have friends over. I couldn't bring people over because you never knew what you were walking into.
Yeah.
And I was like, and Mom's freaking out. And then I don't know what happened. We ended up leaving and going staying at hotels. We stayed at hotels or people's houses that you didn't know all the time because of this crap, right? And but I remember once there was he was home, and there was a couple guys that worked for him. They thought they were pretty badass, but they had tools or stuff at my dad's house, because they had all these drywall tools and stuff and they're coming to get him, or they're coming to beat him up or something. I don't remember what caused it. So I'm looking out the window, and they drive up, and before they could even get out of the car, the one guy had his driver's window down. Dad reaches in there and pulls him out through the window and is beating the crap out of him.
Oh my God.
And the brother comes around and thinks he's going to save him, and he gets the crap beat out of him. There's one thing that my dad knew how to do was fight.
So, I mean, it didn't help any situation at all that he was a tough dude. Like,
He could hang a house by himself, of drywall.
Drywall
He
is
used to make
heavy.
him, okay, so I was in 12, and we're hanging, he'd make me help him, right? So I'm learning how to learn tape and texture, and that's how I can do a lot of this around here, like we did this room. And we're hanging in a garage with this 5/8, like, fireboard. It's like 12 feet long,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm up there, and I got my arms up there, and I'm like, Dad, 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 and my arms went out, boom, and that thing hits me in the head, and it breaks. And he's laughing. He loved that kind of stuff.
Oh my
He'd
gosh.
have me. We did the mini mall up
The
there.
lids are always 5/8.
Yeah, we did the mini mall, and he had this freaking scaffolding way the hell up there, like I don't even know how many feet up in the air it was.
I painted that ceiling.
Yeah, and so he would put these boards across. He would go down and cut this sheetrock. I would have to be up there, and he would get it up, I don't know, and push it up. I had to hold it while he would climb up and then help get it up there. And so we're on these boards, and they're like bending. I'm like, and I'm getting vertigo. I'm like shaking, and heights are not a thing for me. And I was like, holy crap, I'm going to die.
Man.
So many times. But I remember me and my mouth, probably, there was this guy, the Godfreys, that, bad family. I don't know. Just
Bad
kids
family
that
now.
were troublemakers.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what I did. I was probably fighting with the one that was my age. But then one of the older brothers, because I was like junior high, the high schooler, they trapped me in the alley and kicked me, pushed me down. And the older brother was having the little brother kick me. So I was getting kicked. And then Dina freaked out because she was in the backyard or something, was maybe with me, had gone in and got Dad, right?
I don't remember.
Oh, those poor kids. They got your
Yeah.
dad?
Well, my dad, he didn't care who you were. He goes down into that house and he breaks the high schooler's arm and he wants to beat up the dad. He's ready to beat up their dad because his dad thought he was going to be tough. And he was like, holy crap, you know. And the police, because they had so many problems with this family, they didn't really do anything to my dad. They're
No.
like, oh, somebody was finally going to take care of this for us. But I remember that. Oh, but then, Will James, I had to walk, and there was this bridge across the big ditch. And there was this big gang of guys that was going to beat me up. And I was like, how am I going to get home?
Oh no, man.
So I'd walk all the way down through this neighborhood or to the main street, come all the way down, and come back to the
You had
To
to
get
take a
home.
long way.
long walk.
Did you get in
Or she
trouble?
would come and get me. Because she's like,
I
where's...
remember Dina got beat up from school
Yeah,
and ended up in the hospital.
yeah, she hung out with some mean people.
But I pressed charges, and so they had to pay the bill. Remember that?
Nice.
Yeah, I tell you, you never know what life's going to throw at you. But I would say in these talks and things things that are coming up, you know, it has to do, I would say probably the most influential thing on however I am, whether it's would be those younger years, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's the
Yeah.
violence, the tension, being scared.
I would say the turning point in a lot of people's lives is from elementary school to junior high, because that's when you really get to make a choice on what direction you go. For instance, that's when you can start hanging out. That's when people start to decide who they want to be. Like you can start hanging out with the goth kids and end up, you know, worshiping Satan, or you can hang out with, you know, the kids that are smoking weed at 12. You can hang out with that kids, or you made the right decision and hang out with the...
I think the church is a big thing that,
Yeah.
you know, going to the youth group. And that was just, I think it was just, you know, and I got friends there from
And
that
camp.
camp and stuff. I think it was the things that got me away. There were
Yeah.
things to do. I don't know.
And I think
But
that's the age we really end up making that choice. And it just sucks because a lot of kids are too young and impressionable to really know what choice they're making at that age. Because if you're smoking weed, doing pot at 12 before you even in junior high, it's just going to keep stacking up, and you're going to be ending up doing heroin by the time you're in high school.
have you been talking to your friend?
No. I'm not going to say his name, but
I almost did,
he's
but I didn't want to either.
I mean, he
Good
could
guy.
be doing worse. He could
Good
be
guy.
doing worse.
Yeah.
He's not doing crack, so there's that.
Tell him to stay away from the
It's
fentanyl.
all bad.
But, I mean, and you think about all this stuff that we've been talking about. How did it impact Dina? She went a totally different route, right? Than the church from me, right? She ended up getting into the drugs.
Well, that was later. She ended up getting raped, is what screwed her up. Because
Yeah,
she
that-
was in the church, involved in the church,
Yeah.
No.
and happy. But she got raped, and we don't believe in abortion. So she had her baby, and he was placed for adoption.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's trying to break in.
Oh no.
Oh gosh, yeah, I could. Okay, see, and that I don't remember that that time thing. I knew about the kid and all that.
Well, you were in college.
I was down in Bartlesville,
You
so
made-
we were in Montana. Good stuff. Better times, worse times.
Better times.
But I do remember him getting drunk and somebody called and said, "Oh, wasn't it his brother?" Called, said Dick is on his way to kill
Yeah.
you guys, coming home to kill
Yeah,
you.
that was a
And we-
friend of ours.
And we ended up,
Leaving in
Leaving.
the middle of the night
yeah,
and never looked back.
So
And
you
then-
got a warning that he was coming to kill.
Yeah.
Not
He'd
just.
already shot at his brother and was so drunk. that
yeah, it was
he
a
couldn't-
rifle.
Yeah, a 7mm.
That's scary.
Here's a story. My uncle Marty and I went hunting, deer hunting with my dad. Snow, cold, and we're walking maybe 20 feet apart, and Dad had already gone back to the truck. Truck's way up on the road, right?
Did he leave you guys?
No,
Oh.
we're walking and we see this rabbit, white rabbit, beautiful. And all of a sudden that rabbit, I mean, it was 10 feet in front of us to the left a little, blows up, just,
Oh.
we look up, he's at the truck with that 7mm. This is like a gun that could kill an elephant, and shot that rabbit right in front of us. Fucked up.
Yeah.
He's just nuts. He's crazy.
See, I support hunting and all of that. I think it's good for the ecosystem, but you can't be doing that kind
Oh,
of
there
stuff
you
to your
just
kid.
killed our PETA audience.
I mean, we want a PETA audience,
I don't know.
Yes.
Just kidding.
but
Oh man.
oh, what was I going to say? I had something. Yeah, you can't be doing something like that to your kid
Oh
at a
my
young,
gosh.
impressionable
Okay,
age.
we were out hunting, and Gene and my dad get in an argument, or no, this was some other guy, but
Oh.
I was drinking wine.
What?
Was that when you
I
were
was
fishing?
12. No, this was, I thought maybe it was fishing trip, hunting trip, I don't know, but I'm getting wine. I don't know why it's
Were you
wine
of age?
or beer. No,
Yeah,
I was like
wine.
11 or 12.
Whack.
And then they're like, here, try this. And this is the first time I had Copenhagen. So I'm a little kid,
Oh,
drinking alcohol, and then they give you some dip, and that just, ugh, and
Yeah.
I was hurling out the
No.
car.
Yeah.
Hurling.
I don't know how people do dip. I've
then-
attempted it and like,
Oh.
ugh.
So there was another time hunting, and we're coming back, and Dad is drunk, and we're driving down the highway.
Was he driving?
Yeah.
Oh no.
And he's drunk. And even this scared the guy that was with us. I mean, I was in the middle. Dad's driving. This guy's here. I don't even remember his name. And a couple bikers on their bikes in front of us. And Dad, tough guy. Oh, I'll show these guys. And he don't even know these guys, but they're going like too slow. He is going to run them over. And he's not kidding. He's actually going to do it.
Oh, like
and
he's-
he is getting closer and closer and stomps on it. And is almost on them when they realize this guy is crazy.
He was doing it on purpose?
Yeah, and I'm like, stop. I'm just tense, and those feelings is like, and I think once we get into that book on PTSD, what happens to your nervous system with PTSD and your memory and all that, it screws you up because your nerves and everything, you're all tensed up all the time, or you're on edge all the time, to where you can't.
I really hope they can. Oh my
You hear
gosh.
my pug
That's our
crying.
pug crying in the background.
So, and we'll get into that more when we start reading about that
Yeah.
stuff. And hopefully, the professionals out there decide to put in their 2 cents as we will talk about this stuff more and delve deeper into it. And people want to share as much as they want. We want people to grow and become better with us.
Become better people. Yep.
With us.
Because we'll say it time and time again,
I don't think you.
we're not professionals.
No, we're
We
not.
don't know what
Disclaimer.
we're talking about. But
I know nothing.
yeah.
So, you
'Cause
want to do
if
one
I-
more episode? Do you want
No.
to talk about more?
No.
No.
If I was smart and knew, I wouldn't have
All this
put you
stuff.
through your
Yeah.
life like I did.
Well,
I mean, you were.
you deal with depression still, right?
do
Yes,
you
no?
deal with
It's a
the-
yes, no question. Say yes. Because you're supposed to be on some pills, but you don't like the way they make you feel.
Yeah.
So you don't
I
take
don't
them.
like 'em.
So, I mean, there's so much that's not being said. Lots. I remember being at a bar. I don't know how old I was. I could barely see over the pool table. The Broken Arrow, going up to Frank and Lou's,
Yeah.
between Minneapolis and Otto, Minnesota. Broken Arrow.
Outing.
Outing. Yeah. And I remember being in there with my dad, and there's guys playing pool, and I knew the white ball was not supposed to go into the pocket, in the hole, right? And it's going towards the hole, so I reach up there and stop it, and I got yelled at, and those guys went off on me. These old drunks went off on me. I was like, holy shit. You know, little kid traumatized in the bar.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he would be taking you to places like that in the first place. If you're a young kid, you should probably just be at home watching Scooby-Doo.
There's good things about Minnesota too, and we can talk about those too. Minnesota was fun.
I think kids are allowed in the bar till 9.
Yeah, you can't leave them with the babysitter and drink. I don't know. That didn't
I
make
don't know.
sense. Let's call it.
Typically,
Yeah,
there's
bring your
2
kid
parents.
with you and get drunk.
Usually,
No,
but
they're not.
all right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
God bless.
Tune in next week. Like and subscribe, please.